Hi friends, I am thrilled to be with you today. My name is Dawn and I brought my friend Splat with me too. Before we get started, let's take 20 seconds and grab some supplies. Let's get something to write with, paper, and a stuffed animal or trusted adult to talk to about our math learning. I'll wait right here for you to get back. Welcome back. Let's get started. Do you like collecting buttons? I love to collect buttons. Today, we are going to solve a problem about buttons. My friend Moesha loves to collect buttons too. In a bit, we are going to read a mathematical story about Moesha and her buttons. But before we read her story, let's exercise our brain and get it ready to do some math work so we can be fit mathematicians. Will you join me? Let's get on our feet and let's do 5 arm circles. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great job. Now let's do 3 more arm circles. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Awesome. So we started out with 5 arm circles and then we did 3 more arm circles. So how many did we do altogether? That's right, we did 8 because 5 arm circles plus 3 arm circles equals 8 arm circles. Now, let's stay standing on our feet and let's do 4 hops. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Let's do 2 more hops. Are you ready? 1, 2. So we started with 4 hops and then we did 2 more. So we did 6 hops in all, because 4 plus 2 equals 6. Wow, I feel energized and ready to focus on helping Moesha figure out about her buttons. Your job today as we read our story is to figure out how many buttons Moesha has. Let's read a little to find out about Moesha and her buttons. Moesha has some buttons in her bag. Moesha put more buttons in her bag. What are you picturing in your mind? Picturing Moesha with buttons in her bag, and I'm also picturing Moesha putting even more buttons into her bag. How many buttons do you think Moesha has at first in her bag? She might have 10 or 20 or maybe even 30 buttons. Let's read a little more about Moesha. Moesha has 56 buttons in her bag. Moesha put more buttons in her bag. What do we know now that we didn't know before? Yes, I heard someone say that now we know Moesha has 56 buttons in her bag. How many more buttons do you think she could put into her bag? Yes, Moesha could put 20 or 40 or 50 buttons in her bag. Let's keep reading to find out more about Moesha and her buttons. Moesha has 56 buttons in her bag. Moesha put 20 more buttons in her bag. Splat says that now we know that Moesha had put 20 more buttons in her bag. What questions do you think we could ask about this math story? Think of a question about Moesha and her buttons, and then share your question with a trusted adult or stuffed animal. Finally, whisper it to Splat and me. I'm listening in for the whispers. I hear a whisper that says we could ask, how many buttons does Moesha have? That's a really great question. Let's read a little more about Moesha. Moesha has 56 buttons in her bag. Moesha put 20 more buttons in her bag. How many buttons are in her bag now? What is the question in the story? Yes, you are right. The question is asking how many buttons Moesha has in her bag. Do you think you have all the information you need to answer that question? Yes, you do have all the information you need. I want you to think about how you can solve this problem. Tell a trusted adult or stuffed animal how you would solve this problem. Well, Splat always helps me solve math problems. And he just told me a way that I can solve this one. Splat says we can use a tool called a hundreds chart. Let's try it out. We can solve this problem by using a hundreds chart. On the hundreds chart, I will start at 56. 56 is the number of buttons that Moesha first has in her bag. Can you point to 56? Great job. I know that she put 20 more buttons in her bag. So first, I'm going to jump down one row to 66. If I jump a whole row, then that means I moved 10 spaces. That means I added 10 more. We can write what we did on the 100 chart as an equation. 56 buttons plus 10 more is 66 buttons. Are we finished solving our problem on the hundreds chart? No! How many more do we need to jump? Yes, you are right. We have to jump 10 more because we know Moesha put 20 buttons in her bag, and we only counted for 10 buttons with our first jump on the hundreds chart. Watch as I jump down one more row, that's a whole nother 10 spaces, and land on 76. So I landed on 76, which means Moesha has 76 buttons in her bag. Moesha started with 56 buttons in her bag. Then we jumped 10 spaces and 10 more spaces until we jumped 20 spaces in all, and we landed on 76. So 56 buttons plus 20 buttons equals 76. Can you write that equation? Write that down and show it to Splat and me. Good work! We figured out that there are 76 buttons in Moesha's bag. Great job using the hundreds board to count by tens. In a bit, we're going to talk about another way to solve this problem. But before we do, let's take a math movement break. I would like to invite you to stand up for this movement break. Let's exercise using our numbers and counting down from 10 for inspiration. Are you ready to move your body to each number? Okay, let's go. First, we'll do 10 twists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next, we'll do 9 hops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, we'll do 8 arm circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Next is 7 knee bends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's get ready for 6 arm stretches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's get ready for 5 knee raises. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 4 side bends. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 3 toe raises. 1, 2, 3. Let's do 2 head nods. 1, 2. And finally, let's do 1 big jump. 1. That was fun exercising our math minds and counting down by 10, from 10. Now that we're energized, Splat and I will show you another way to solve our problem. Remember, our problem is Moesha has 56 buttons in her bag. Moesha put 20 more buttons in her bag. How many buttons are in her bag in all? Splat says another way to solve the problem would be to use an open number line. You can draw a number line on your paper as I draw mine up here. First, we'll draw a line on our paper and put 56 at the beginning because we know that Moesha is beginning with 56 buttons. We know that Moesha added 20 more buttons to her collection, but that's a lot to jump at once. I know. We could break apart the 20 and jump 10 and then another 10 instead, because we know that 10 and 10 equals 20. So let's start at 56 and jump 10. Be sure to show your jump on the number line. and write plus 10 above it. So we landed on 66 on the number line. Now, let's jump 10 more. Show your jump and write plus 10 on top. Now we've landed at 76 because 10 more than 66 is 76. So we began at 56 and then we jumped 10 to 66 and then we jumped another 10 to 76. That tells us that Moesha had 76 buttons in her collection. An equation that matches our number line could look like this. 56 plus 10 equals 76. You did such a great job about thinking about more than one way to solve a problem. Before Splat and I go today, we would love to hear you talk about our learning. I have these sentence starters to help us talk about our math. They say, today I learned, and I can. So if I were doing this, I might say, today I learned how to solve a math story problem with 2-digit numbers. I can use a hundreds board or an open number line to solve 2-digit equations. Now it's your turn. Read with me and finish these sentences. Today I learned. Okay, our next sentence, I can. Fantastic job talking about your learnings from today. Friends, Splat and I have to go now, but you did such a great job of solving the mathematical story of how many buttons Moesha had. We used the hundreds chart and an open number line to help us add tens to figure out how many buttons Moesha had. Splat and I hope you enjoyed today, and we hope we get to see you again soon.